Hey everyone, Liz here. I'm back on my channel here for a bit. What I wanted to do is do a short series for you, giving you an introduction to the quantum rewiring training that I'm starting. A friend of mine and I are going to be offering the training in person and online over Zoom shortly. And I wanted to just give you guys a preview of what happens. So, quantum rewiring training, I'm going to explain why it's so awesome in a second. It But I want to start to train people to do this because I kind of want to share it before I croak, you know? So why is it so great? Well, I'm kind of a nerd, so I collect healing modalities like many people collect Hummel figurines, and I have been able to put together the best of all of them. I think I've probably spent $200,000 over my life and learned at least 40 healing modalities, in energy healing modalities and others. I was an acupuncturist too, so I actually use needles. Anyway, I've put together the best of the best because I wanted to create a healing system with these qualities you see. Um, and I wanted to call quantum rewiring. Quantum's not the best word. Ether is the better word because you're working with the subconscious mind and the superconscious mind. However, quantum fits better, and I don't have a better name. But anyway, quantum rewiring is what it is. This system or this healing construct is very respectful to the client. And as I say down below, the client doesn't have to share their terrible, bad, horrible, very bad, terrible, awful, terrible, terrible, terrible story. And they don't have to share anything they don't want to share. Their subconscious mind and my subconscious mind know what's going on. So the healing happens anyway. They can just say, get on a call and just say, I got this thing I want to work on. And I can say, yeah, we're good to go. Many people do love to tell their story. And so during a session, I don't mind. I'll say, hey, in a few minutes, tell me what you'd like to work on today. What are your most pressing issues? But I don't want them to re-engage their trauma. So I don't want to hear it again. So number one is you keep telling your very bad, painful story. Your reality in the present is created by your past thinking and your story of the past. It's important to drop the story and move forward, jettisoning the story, forgiving people, moving on. And the more you tell it, the more you recreate it in your everyday life and in your immediate future. So I don't really want them to retell their story. It's not good for them. It's not good for you. Um, and also, sometimes people just really, really want to talk, and it's good to kind of help retrain them that they can go inside and do some energy work to heal things, do some spiritual work to heal things, as opposed to doing it through talk therapy, right? I remember even when I was an acupuncturist, I'd have people come tell me about their knee pain, and they would go into how they were raped as children and stuff. And my Chinese colleagues would say, "You want talk or you want needle?" And I couldn't get away with that as an American, but so I had to learn to kind of redirect the client to get the healing done rather than tell their really bad story. But it's very respectful this way. The process, once you learn it, is very easy to do and very easy to receive. It's just the person sitting comfortably in a chair or on a couch or bed. They can turn off the camera if you're on Zoom. And it's easy for you as the practitioner to work with them and help direct their subconscious mind. And by the way, your subconscious mind does know everything already. It's just as we talk to the subconscious mind, this system, I have people watch a training video first to get their subconscious mind ready for the stunted way in which we're going to communicate with it. It already knows everything, but it's kind of saying, hey, this is my operating system. This is how I need to talk with you right now. And it goes, okay, cool, we got it. All right. But it's very easy to do. It's very gentle. There's scripting I've put in place to make sure there's no emotional overwhelm or emotional flooding so that we don't re-engage trauma. For example, I'll say something like, if Susie can handle emotional flooding level 10, the worst there is, she can handle that. We're going to go no higher than a 1, and that works very well. And also, if something happens in the room where they are, or they need to come out of session or come out, it's very safe. It's very easy. Again, scripting's put in place so that they can pop out of the alpha brainwave state very quickly. It's very quick to do it. Sometimes people are done in one session. Sometimes it's funny, they kind of go away. I don't hear from them, and I'll text them and say, hey, how you doing? And they go, oh, yeah, it's all done. I totally forgot. Thank you. But more troubled things, more challenges for the client can be usually taken care of in 3 to 8 sessions. It is very effective, like I mentioned. It does very good. It gets people on the right step. When you talk about layers of an onion, I really wish I could just snap my fingers and someone's fully healed, but I kind of think we might have spontaneously combust if that happened. I think that it would be too traumatic to immediately heal and change all your belief systems and all your habits in one go because it's too much. So I think the subconscious mind is quite gentle in taking off layers at a time, and then maybe new things crop up that were kind of hiding behind the most pressing issue the client's coming to you for. It is safe, like I said. You can do it for yourself. Once you learn this system, you can heal yourself. And I think this is one reason I'm quite sane. You can be healed while you're treating others as well. When you're doing energy work, those who do this work understand that you get the healing as well. And like I mentioned, you don't need the details of the story, only if you want to hear it from the client. And I think so many practitioners also just want too much information. It's too titillating, like, oh, you must have done that in a past life. And oh, yeah, and she really hurt you, didn't she? Well, this is not talk therapy, folks. You don't need to hear it. You don't need to add to the story. Like I said, we want to move on from the story. This system also adds on really well to other systems that you might already be doing. It's super. You can add more neurolinguistic programming, you can have the client do some tapping. We call it emotional freedom technique or tapping, where you tap acupuncture points on the body. You can introduce more hypnotic techniques, or you can create hypnotic meditations for them. You can do more shamanic visioning for them on their behalf or guide them through one. You can do a lot more of that. It's very flexible. So my partner and I would say that once you learn this system and you have it down pat, change it as you wish, right? This also builds a lot of confidence in the practitioner, and it develops your intuition, your psychic sense, your spidey sense. It really empowers that because this is what you're using. You're using your own intuition using with muscle testing. I recommend muscle testing. I'll talk about that in a minute, as opposed to something else, some other system like a pendulum, because a pendulum is more slow. But clients can use, I mean, practitioners can use what they want for sure. But this really builds your confidence. And so, you know how I teach people to be more intuitive or develop their psychic abilities? They don't trust themselves. So I'll say, hey, if you could hear what the client's saying to you, what would it be? And then it opens up the subconscious mind and kind of gives you some freedom to open up and you kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing, but you're not really faking it. What happens then, your subconscious goes, oh, he's listening. Let's give him more. Okay, so you develop your confidence and your intuition, and you get downloads, whether in the moment you hear things or have some thoughts or see a vision in your mind's eye, or you get it in the evening when you're quiet, or overnight and dream in the dream state, or you get it the next day. So, and it comes faster and faster as you develop these abilities. So you get stronger and more powerful doing this system. Also, you have helpers. When you open up the gateway or open up the big portal to the subconscious mind, you have all intuition, you have all the wisdom in the universe, and you're working with source, God, whatever you want to call that being. Maybe you talk to, if you talk to anything outside of yourself, you have all that wisdom as well. You open up the gateways. When you get out of your beta brainwave state, when you get out of your conscious, logical, analytical mind, you open up the world to yourself. Even though we mostly think and solve our problems in beta, it's got limited bits of information it can handle. Okay, and so, but the subconscious mind knows everything. God knows everything. So you can reach out and have all that wisdom at your fingertips. Also, you have the egregore. This is an old-timey word for a group of thought forms, or a group of thought forms created by groups of people, living or dead, that know stuff. In my book, I call it the Cosmic Committee. This is where you can access all the wisdom of all the wise healers, sages, trainers, mentors, coaches, guides. You can get access to all of that wisdom, and you get downloads from everything. When my friend and I learned the shamanic system, we learned how to access all the medicine people, living or dead, past, present, and future. Very powerful stuff. So you have all that at your fingertips, and you know it, and you can ask and get the help you need. Now let's talk about those personality parts. So this is based on the work of Dr. Richard Schwartz, and he wrote a book called No Bad Parts. And in his book, he says, we are born with many subminds that are constantly interacting with each other. We call this thinking. The parts are talking to each other. They actually have distinctive personalities. Now, I believe he would posit that we already contain all these personalities, and we likely do. I have wondered in my work, I think I've had about 1,000 sessions with this system. I've been doing it since 2022. And that maybe frequency patterns or emotional balls or Memory structures, neurostructures, or personality parts can also be created. But my jury's still out on that. I don't know. All I know is that this works. I don't know everything that God knows. I don't know everything that our subconscious minds know here because I'm talking to you in beta. I don't know everything, but I intuit that sometimes their parts are created. This might sound like, schizophrenia, what we now call it, dissociative identity disorder in the DSM. But it's not that. It is related. This is normal people with their normal subminds, their normal minds in their body. When you're thinking about something and one part of you says, yeah, do it. And the other part of you says, don't do it, don't do it. Those are parts talking to each other, right? And we're not to fear these parts. They're parts of you. They're lovely parts of you. And the reason he calls it no bad parts is because we each have parts that want things that aren't good for us in our adult minds. With our adult mindsets, we don't want to kick and spit and hit and act out, but we do anyway. They're not obstacles. I have some clients who confuse this and think that we're removing demons or entities or intrusive fields. But these are lovely parts of you. We just want to release their emotional burdens. They're in fact trying to keep us safe. And they're often actually stop growing or they stop at the age of the initial traumatic event, which is why I think sometimes they're created to handle it. Again, I don't know, but they can be really immature. And this is why we think maybe they're being naughty or bad. They may sound like an inner critic and they can cause some mild dissociation, right? So, but they're not. What happens is they arrive and take the emotional burdens and the painful memories and they store them for you so that you can function on a day-to-day basis. So you can get out of bed in the morning, make your coffee, and go to work and pull on your socks and have your Cheerios. Maybe not in that order. So they're trying to keep you safe. They really want to release those emotional burdens and become cheerleaders. They carry those extreme beliefs and emotions. So here's what's going on. You have an emotional event when you're younger or any age, and the parts are created or the parts that are already there take on those emotional burdens, painful memories, and events. They mildly dissociate so that you can function. Again, to have your Cheerios in the morning and not pour orange juice in the Cheerios by accident. So, but what happens is when a current event takes place, they take over the situation. Those parts related to the initial trauma take over, and this is why we act out, as we say. What's a story that's coming to mind is a Navy friend of mine. I did a couple sessions with him. He was pretty pissed off because his ex-wife was pouring vegetable oil in his gas tank. Nice, right? But she was acting out. She was pissed off because he was with another woman. This is an example of that fatal attraction bunny in the pot stuff of acting out, or why we just yell at our partners and saying, I'm going to divorce you, when we have no intention to do it. We just start yelling. So all that stuff, we call it acting out. You know what that means. We all do it. And so they take over the main personality. The main personality is you. It's you sitting here listening to me. The main personality that gets up and does stuff and drives your car and cleans your house. That's you. But that's why sometimes you just act out and it's almost like feels like it's not even you. You just don't even know why you said that or why you did that or why you acted out. They take over, but they carry all the wisdom and memory. And they kind of learn to handle in their immature way. They learn to handle the current trigger of the initial painful event or trauma. But the main personality does not get that training or that wisdom. So they continue to take over. And we'll talk about that more later on in the training. But what Dr. Richard Schwartz wants us to do is help these parts become bodhisattvas of your psyche. In other words, where you can begin to handle with wisdom and patience and a loving kindness the parts that are acting out. And he sees them as sacred and spiritual beings, as do I. And so instead of binding them up, locking them in the closet, tying them up, putting duct tape around their mouth, throwing them in the closet, not feeding them, we love on them. And I'm just telling you here and now, when you see them and treat them as sacred and spiritual beings, they show up and want to do the work and they rejoin the main personality. And that's the point of this work. So I developed a script. And I say things to the client, something like, welcome to this session. This is a transformative energy healing process. It's designed to release emotional blockages or baggage. It rewires your negative or limiting beliefs, and it aligns you with your highest potential. And this is actually the training guide. The guide, when I'm doing the training, outlines the steps for a session, and it incorporates techniques. Like I told you, I took the best of the best. So Jose Silva developed a 3-2-1 method to get people into alpha state immediately, and it works super well. And you could train the clients to do it for themselves. And I also use a lot of the work from Dr. Gary Flint, who wrote a couple of amazing books. I recommend you read them. And I use shamanic practice, I use psychology practice, counseling practice, and I work with the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds. We communicate with the superconscious mind because, as I said, your subconscious mind works with God or the superconscious mind. It works with it. It knows everything. It knows everything you ever did or thought um, after conception. It remembers everything, but it doesn't carry the emotional burdens. It just carries it as data or information. So I talk about the session overview with a client, and it works with it, as I said, the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds, as well as those personality parts. These are aspects of your personality formed, or maybe they're already there. They're formed from past traumas, phobias, and painful experiences. These parts manifest when you're emotionally triggered with a new painful memory, or when a new event triggers painful memories from the past, and it is involved with your habits, your limiting beliefs, and these are stored as energetic patterns and neurostructures and memory structures in your body and mind. So we engage the parts and we talk with them and we get them to rejoin the main personality. Uh, so we gently clear the blockages, reframe beliefs, and foster integration. So, like I said, I recommend you look at these books if you're interested in this work. In fact, if you take the class, I'll have you read these works. Gary Flint's Theory, A Theory and Treatment of Your Personality, which is quite a dense psychological tome, and Dr. Schwartz's No Bad Parts. That's an easy read, and he actually has meditations in there for you to do this at home by yourself. And we actually can say, try this at home, folks. So I explained to the client, I'm going to put them into a guided relaxation to reach a calm alpha state. I'm going to give the subconscious mind a metaphor. So the subconscious mind has a great idea. The subconscious mind talks in dream language and symbology, not, the beta brainwave state, normal bar talking that we do with each other. So I give them a metaphor, like a dream metaphor, to explain what we're doing with the personality. And then I work with the personality parts to address their chosen issues. We can always do more than one. 3 to 6 is fine. Whatever the client wants to work on that day, they're usually related. You can take care of all of it. I often say to the client, let's add some stuff to the pile. What else you got? So we do a gentle release of emotional energetic patterns, and we ensure minimal discomfort. So what I tell the clients is it's important to get into a quiet, comfortable space. We're often doing these sessions over Zoom or in person. They can record it if they want to or take notes. It works really well. So I want to level the bubbles here and go over these brainwave states so we know what we're talking about. And I explain this in the training. I get the clients down to a nice alpha state. This is they say here, relaxed reflection. This is actually the best place to do your work, to actually problem solve. I know it says problem solving is for the beta state. The beta brainwave state, 13 to 35 cycles per second or hertz, is how I'm talking to you right now. When you communicate, talk, listen, drive your car, eat those Cheerios, call your mom, uh, plan this and do that, and we make a lot of decisions from beta. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the best place to make decisions. If you can and are able, it's better to get yourself quickly into a meditative state, a relaxed state. You hear about Thomas Edison, you hear about Nikola Tesla, how they would actually take a nap in the afternoon and relax, and they would get a lot of their downloads when they're actually in a relaxed state. And they would wake up from the thing, and I think it was Edison, I forget who it was, maybe even Einstein. They would wake up and they'd have ideas. Like Nikola Tesla would say that he would actually create his own inventions. He never actually had a mistake in the inventions he created. He would come up with, out of a nap state or dreamy, sleepy state, which is alpha, come up with the exact structure of what he needed to create. I think it was Edison. I can't remember. I think he would be studying ball bearings for something, and he would say, oh no, this ball bearing will actually last 10 years. And he would use the ball bearings or whatever machinery he'd be creating, and he would actually he would be correct. The thing would last that long. So anyway, so I recommend getting to the alpha state, but beta is where we usually live and talk and communicate and drive, and it's our logical analytical brain. This is the conscious mind. Alpha state is where I take clients. This is a relaxed state, like I said, and it's very easy to get yourself or the client into this state. Theta, sometimes my clients do kind of dip into theta, which is a sleep, a very deep meditation. When I see them over Zoom and they drop their chin to their chest and they're out cold, That's theta, and the healing happens also, and I just make sure they're awake when we part ways. Delta is sleep. And by the way, the gamma state is very interesting. There's, a lot of people are trying to, increase their brainwave states and be really take neurotropics and be powerful and have high cognitive levels of thinking and do their work and do their investments and yeah. And like they're high on caffeine kind of thing, and they're just powerful, powerful brains doing powerful, powerful work in this world. But also you can get to this heightened awareness state with a Kundalini or a Nirvana type experience. You can get it that way as well. So this is my last slide for today. There's two things you need to develop to do this work for clients. Like I said, you need to develop your intuition, and you can simply ask yourself, if I could hear, if I could know how many parts are present for this work, how many would there be? Or if I could see for the client on this guided visualization I'm taking them on, what would I see? If I were to tell the client, or if I am having a conversation with the parts, all this to be explained later, what would I hear? And this opens up your subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind goes, oh yeah, they're listening. Let's give them more. When you open up that gateway or that portal. I don't do this is called the finger loop method. That's what I call it. It's not, I actually use my first finger and my thumb to make a loop. You make a chain. And the idea is you train yourself with some practice. This is the second thing you must do. You can use a pendulum if you do that as well, but this is faster. Sometimes I'll muscle test 100 times during a session. So it's really great to not waste the client's time and money to be able to do this quickly. But the idea is the muscles are stronger when the answer is a yes. So for example, if I'm trying to do a muscle test to see how many parts are present, you actually can do this. It actually works. And frankly, even if I get the number a little bit wrong, the subconscious still understands what it is to do, and it does it. So I will test. I'll say, are there fewer than 5 parts? I'll get a yes or no. Are there 4 parts? I might get a yes. Are there more than 6 parts? Are there more than 10? Are there 10 parts? Nowadays, I'll see a number in my head. I'll just get the number 12, say, and I'll say, is it 12? I'll get a yes. Is it more than 12? I'll get a no. Is it less than 12? I'll get a no. Right? So it's important to learn to muscle test. Well, that's it. This is what I have for you today. I'm going to stop here. And if anyone watches it and likes it, let me know. And I'm going to continue the series. And yeah, enjoy your day.